Okay. Thank you.
Just do.
Let's see. I'll confess to you, about the only thing that I can say with any knowledge is the following. Just about 10 years ago, a chap strolled out of India, owning nothing but his robe and a pair of sandals and a picture of his teacher. And that's all. And he came to teach. In the space of just 10 years, he is revered and followed by factually several millions of people in every single country in the world. Very bravely, I say, I attempt to wrestle with things I don't understand entirely on this program and bring you insights into situations that are going on around. I will confess to you tonight complete and total ignorance. The only thing I know about my first guest is that he's a lovely and charming man who I met in person, and he is apparently, in important ways, moving the world. And so it is going to be my pleasure to find out about him, and hopefully yours at the same time. Welcome him now with me, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. They've never stood up before for any of my guests. This is the first time in all the time that I've been doing television shows. As a matter of fact, in all the years that I've been doing television programs,
this is your charm of this evening, I think.
You think it's my personal charm?
It's a special charm, and they greet you.
I think you're my special charm this evening.
Thank you.
What can I say except that I'm delighted to have you here, and I'm very grateful that you could work into your, as I understand, very busy schedule this brief visit.
I feel very delighted to be here.
All right. We'll be together for an hour, you and I.
Beautiful.
And we will talk together, and we will let the people who are here to see you talk with you, and therefore talk with our audience.
That will be very good, yes.
I think what might be fun, before we get into exactly what it is you do, is to find out
what it is that you know before doing.
We'd like to find out, I think, just a
field of knowing.
A little bit about you.
And then field of being.
All right. We'll start with knowing then. All right. You were born in India, is that right?
Yeah.
And I assume at a very early age you developed a curiosity about things spiritual.
A sincere desire rather than a surface curiosity.
I feel as though that's not directed at me, is it?
No, it was directed to me.
Oh. But I can read into that parable what I will, can't I? And you found your teacher at an early age.
I was fortunate in that. I found a very great teacher who not only satisfied me for the fulfillment of my life, but gave something of great importance for the whole world of all times to come.
You were you were a youngster at that time. And you spent quite a long period of time.
13 years with my master.
13 years.
And that was a very happy time of my life.
It occurs to me as though...
he was great.
He was... I can't imagine, from having met you briefly before we started this and looking at you now, I can't imagine a time in your life that is not happy. Is there such a time?
No, I don't remember unhappiness because it doesn't belong to life anyway.
Unhappiness does not belong to life.
It's opposed to life. Just that darkness doesn't belong to light. Misery and suffering does not belong to life. Only not able to live full value of life, people fall in suffering and misery.
Unhappiness is therefore an accident, which is...
Not an accident, I would say. It's willingly brought about by one who does not rise to full strength of life. See, unhappiness is... weakness is the basis of all sorrows and suffering, one's weakness.
And you feel as though in your teaching you bring strength, is that right?
Yeah. Transcendental meditation is a simple, natural way to make a man develop his full potential.
Transcendental meditation is what it is called.
Yeah.
Is it a religion as we understand the religion?
No, it's a technique. And technique, as we know, is something that accomplishes the work more quickly and more easily and more profoundly.
Well, when we use the term technique, it brings to my mind something mechanical.
Exactly, just mechanical.
Is that good, that it's mechanical?
And that alone is natural to life. You know, to go to a field of greater happiness is mechanical to everyone. One doesn't have to think much and plan much. Just one is drifted on to a field of greater happiness. That is the tendency of outer life. Mind always drawn towards greater happiness, and it is drawn mechanically, automatically, as mechanically as if water flows down this slope.
You have devoted your entire life to teaching the mechanics, therefore, of transcendental meditation, is that right?
That's it, yes. And that unfolds the entire mechanics of life. Because in transcendental meditation, the mind goes in, and then it comes out and goes in and comes out. That's it.
Well, we'll talk about transcendental meditation in a moment. What I just wanted to do was just for fun to find out a little bit about who you are and where you came from.
A very simple, natural man.
And you have been a monk all of your life.
Yes.
And you're a lifelong...
And I am very old in every country by now. There's nothing new about me in any country.
And you're a lifelong celibate, is that right?
Yes, I'm a life celibate. As a monk.
Is celibacy a part of transcendental meditation, Maharishi?
It's not a part of transcendental meditation. It's my life.
But I mean, for those who wish to practice, do they also have to practice celibacy?
Hundreds of thousands of householders, husband and wife, meditate together.
You don't have to give up
nothing
the
to
earthly...
give up. Only we add on and add on and add on to life.
We add on.
Nothing. And then 200% life.
200% life.
That is the offer from the International Meditation Society.
You're offering everybody a double life.
Double life. Full 100% inner and full 100% outer. To enjoy the outer beauty of life, the flower, and then enjoy the honey within it also.
So, one of the facts of television life is that we have commercials.
Outside. We can have 100% of that.
We must pause for one of those right now. We'll be right back in just about a minute or so from right now, out there. But that doesn't bother him a bit, and we'll find out why right now. Maharishi, as you know, the Beatles, your students, are on the cover of Time magazine this week. And inside here, marked by the 5-year plan, is a picture of you and a story all about you and the Beatles. They describe you as a cherubic seer with shoulder-length locks. And then they go on to talk about you. Both of those statements are true. You have shoulder-length locks, and you are cherubic. I have never met any other guru, but you are the cutest guru You are so full of joy in life. It's just beautiful. Anyway, apparently,
it goes with the message of Transcendental Meditation.
You mean everybody gets this happy that practices Transcendental Meditation?
They do.
Well, the Beatles say that you've changed their life dramatically. How did you get together with the Beatles?
And I was speaking in Hilton in London, and towards the end of the lecture, I knew that Beatles were hearing the lecture and they wanted to talk to me. And next day, I was to go to Wales to conduct the course there. And I called them on the dais and talked to them. And they said they had tried so many things along with all these drugs and all that for some higher spiritual experience. And in my talk, they heard that this higher spiritual experience can be gained very easily and comfortably without any restrictions of habits and all that through Transcendental Meditation.
Had you heard about the Beatles before you met them at this time?
In California, I had heard them.
You heard them?
2-3 years ago.
They were, it is a fact, we know that they had been taking LSD and smoking marijuana before being introduced to you and your
They told me
methods.
That there is nothing in the Western world which can give this higher spiritual experience. And when they heard that it can be gained very naturally and easily through Transcendental Meditation, they said we would do anything to have that experience in a natural way. And then they followed me. And 2 days of experience convinced them that this is what they have been seeking in their life.
And they gave up drugs of all kinds?
Drugs they had given up even before meeting me. But then they were fixed on the idea that they don't need the drugs, and drugs don't fulfill that desire for that higher spiritual experience.
Many of the people who talk about the drugs, such as LSD, talk about it as being some kind of a spiritual experience. Have you ever experimented with those kind of hallucinatory drugs?
They are just, as you said, hallucinatory. They just produce some hallucinations. Some people begin to laugh, others begin to weep, and nothing is fixed about their experience. And I was never attracted to drugs, I was fortunate to have a good master, and that set my life on very proper grounds.
He turned you on the right way right from the start, is that right?
Right from the start. I was fortunate on that.
And so now what you plan to do is turn on the world.
To give that right, that's it. Turn on to the world. And as Beatles are coming to India to be trained as teachers of this Transcendental Meditation.
Do they claim that it's changed their music in any way?
It must have improved. Their records now will show. It must improve. Because when the conscious mind expands, expanded capacity of the mind brings improvement on all levels. Just like watering the root of a plant makes every aspect of the plant fresh and green. So it is the mind of a man. Even modern psychology tells us that one uses only a small portion of his mind. And there is nothing to expand the conscious capacity. Transcendental meditation is a natural way to expand the conscious capacity and make the mind full.
All right, let's talk just a little bit about Transcendental Meditation.
Yeah.
What exactly is it?
It is transference of attention from the common level of thinking to the finer levels of thinking until the attention goes to the finest level of thinking and to the source of thinking.
Does that mean that you are instructed to think about some specific fine thing?
Not fine thing, but a thought without meaning. See, when we say carnation, someone who knows English, he understands carnation is this. But someone doesn't know English, what he hears is carnation, just the sound of it. Now, if the mind is held on the meaning, then it will always be working on the horizontal level, like swimming on the surface of the pond.
Mm-hmm.
And if the mind is not held up by the meaning, then it is possible for the mind to experience the finer state of the sound of the thought. And that takes the mind to the vertical activity, fathoming the source of thought. When I say the source of thought, see, the thought starts as an air bubble, starts from the bottom of a lake. And as it comes up, it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. Coming up on the surface of the lake, it is appreciated as a bubble. Like that, a thought starts from the deepest level of the mind, from the field of pure consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So from the deepest level of the mind, it starts and becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Coming up on the surface of the thinking mind, it is appreciated as a thought. And from there, it bursts out into speech and action. So transcendental meditation is a technique to experience the thought in its more infant states of development until the conscious mind taps the source of thought. Now, when I say source of thought, we know a thought moves. So it has energy due to which it moves. And due to intelligence, it takes a direction. A thought moves due to energy. A thought takes a direction due to intelligence. So the source of thought, which gives innumerable thoughts all the time, must be a tremendous reservoir of energy and intelligence. The conscious mind reaching to the source of thought gets filled with that reservoir of energy and intelligence. Coming out, it comes out highly energetic and very intelligent.
But now,
this is what makes a man more efficient in life.
Well, let me just see if I follow you so far.
Yeah.
By means of a device, which he said, carnation in a different language, which might be a sound.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I understand you do use the tool of a mantra or a sound.
Right, an impulse, a sound without meaning.
Right. And you concentrate, therefore, on that sound, or whatever, or the sound of a word without actual meaning, let us say.
And the thing is, we don't concentrate.
On anything.
No. It happens that the mind begins to experience the finer state of that sound.
Right. Apparently, transcendental meditation is a technique by which you
transfer the attention.
Transfer the attention and have thought without content.
Right.
Is that
beautiful? Beautifully said.
In other words, you just
thought without the
sort of ride inward on some kind of a stream of intelligent energy that has no content. Is that right?
Right. It has content, but not the. It has content, but not the meaning of the.
Yes.
The meaning is not the content of that ride. It is the energy, the sound.
And when you get, as you must learn to, when you teach people to, they get to the very bottom, the source of all thought and all energy.
That's it. And there the conscious mind is filled with energy and intelligence.
And you have found a way to tap that source, to get down to where that is. In
a very natural way. That's the greatness of this transcendental meditation, which has enamored the whole world.
You're selling me.
It doesn't need a salesman.
No.
It says
well,
it is sold by itself.
Television is a salesman, Maharishi, and we must pause and let television fulfill that function right now. We'll be back in just about a minute or so from this here minute. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. All right, we were talking about the practice and how it practically operates, the Transcendental Meditation.
one thing about the practice, that it has to be learned by the trained teacher.
Yes.
I have trained many teachers, and quite some teachers are here in Los Angeles and in New York and all over.
You're doing a commercial.
This is what I said. We have 200% of life's message.
All right. Now, it does apparently, according to your thinking, change the physical being as well as the mental being of people who practice.
Very right.
What happens?
As the mind goes deeper into the subtle levels of thought, the breathing becomes less. Because now the system is entering into a lower field of activity. Activity is minimized, so one breathes less.
During the meditation?
During meditation. Metabolic rate becomes less and less. And this gives rest to the always functioning machinery of the body.
Does it come to a more complete state of rest than during sleep?
Oh, much more than sleep. In sleep, there is a metabolic rate is quite big.
Because of dreaming and so forth.
Even the flow of blood and all sorts of activity keeps on going. But in Transcendental Meditation, the body receives complete rest. And it is this effect of this meditation that improves health of the people. Yeah, all these people suffering from heart diseases and all, in 3-4 days, they begin to ride up the staircase and all that.
Really?
Amazingly, how deep rest one gets. And stress and strain, just within 15-20 minutes, one feels so deeply relaxed without trying to relax. Only as the mind goes, naturally the body becomes rested, complete rest. And it is this which roots out the possibility of about 80% of diseases which the doctors designate as psychosomatic.
Well, as a matter of fact, Maharishi, there are many eminent physicians who are unwilling to rule out the possibility that all of man's diseases might be psychosomatic.
As the investigation goes deeper into health,
that's right,
and they find more and more psychosomatic diseases.
Which might mean, and I'm sure we're going to hear about the American Medical Association and very soon around this station, but it might mean that the practice of transcendental meditation in its purest and best form might increase somebody's lifespan.
Very naturally it does. And then it shows on their faces. People 60, 70 years, they begin to look many years younger.
Is that right?
You see, a face of stress and strain and unpleasantness is a different face. And the moment he starts to meditate, deep relaxation, from inside rejuvenation. You see, this reminds me of the experiments performed by the scientists in Germany. They say as the metabolic rate goes down, the body potential, electric potential of the body rises high. That means the rate of consumption is lowering and the energy level is rising high. Gain on both sides.
You even, I understand, recommend that the meditation is not practiced before one is to retire, because it's so refreshing that you might
you may not sleep, yes.
Yes.
Not at the time of sleep we meditate, but before meals, before supper, before lunch, any time in the morning.
Early in the morning, so? About
15-20 minutes. It is this direct effect on health and on efficiency of man which has spread it all over the world during the last 8-10 years.
Now, it's not a religion, is it?
Oh, no, it's not a religion at all.
It has nothing whatever to do with the belief in the divinity of any individuals or believing in the philosophic concepts of any individuals?
Nothing. A man could believe anything, and then he will begin to believe right things as his conscious capacity increases and his mind expands. He begins to use his fuller potentiality.
You You said something to me before we went on the air, which I think is very interesting. We were talking, Maharishi and I, about the religious aspect of Transcendental Meditation, and I brought up such figures as Buddha and Jesus and Moses and Confucius, and he said, you remember what you said?
Yes. I said, every great teacher has taught his followers something that did produce effect in their life. Otherwise, he wouldn't have gathered following.
Yes.
And if the teaching was natural, then it lasted in time.
Yes. You even proposed, or we mutually discussed the possibility that perhaps what Jesus and Moses and Confucius and Buddha were teaching was some form of transcendental meditation.
We could derive from their writings. Only what is unfortunate is that they have been misinterpreted very, very widely.
And that all the ceremony which has now followed and all...
The surface value remains, and the depth of it gets forgotten.
The surface value of what these prophets were teaching is all that has possibly remained, and the true message, you feel, might have gotten lost.
Just as nobody bothers about the foundation of the house, no? Enjoy the glory of the walls and the building, but nobody bothers about the foundation. The Transcendental Meditation, taking the mind from the surface level of thinking to the inner field of being, it explores the foundation of life. Because being is the basis of thinking, as thinking is the basis of action.
Would you like to talk to the Maharishi out there? Would you? Anybody? All right. George, can we have some house lights?
Science of being.
And I'm going to turn on the microphone and see if we can get a question from somebody in the audience. I would prefer to start with somebody who has not already been initiated into Transcendental Meditation, because I think that question might be a little bit more pure than somebody who already has been exposed. We will get to that, but I would like to get, before the commercials, I would like to get to just the pure inquiry. All right? Yes, sir. Right over here.
Maharishi, in India, we in America think of it as a country bringing us old philosophies and old religions. We also have a feeling that there is great poverty there and hardship and suffering. Can you explain to me why there has not been more compatibility with these things?
Because Indians are not meditating, and I am working simultaneously in 50 countries. I'm opening centers and academies of this Transcendental Meditation everywhere, all the universities and in public life. It is very necessary to reintroduce this highly useful technique of life and living, so that every man comes out to live fuller life.
Does that answer you? Yes, sir. Down here.
Maharishi, approximately how long does it take before a student is independent of the teacher to go on with the learning process?
I think 3-4 days of checking in the beginning sets him on his own.
And then he is safe to go on his own path?
He goes on ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Up here.
Maharishi, I read your book, The Science of Being, and my question is just that the essence of it to me says that every man can live in fulfillment, and it just seems too good to be true.
See, the essence of this book, Science of Being and Art of Living, is that the value of inner life has to be brought out and lived in the outer field of activity. Transcendental meditation is a natural way to take our attention deep inside and bring that energy and intelligence of the source of thought into the outer field of action.
I'm going to ask one more question. I'm going to embarrass an old friend of mine for just a second, but he said something that piqued my interest. You've all seen, I don't want to do an applause getter or any, you know, there are very many applause. You've all seen the great television show starring, but anyway, he's a dear man, and we have argued on subjects before, but I do like Ephraim Zimbalist Jr., who was sitting here, and he said something interesting to me before the show. He has written an introduction to one of the pamphlets about Transcendental Meditation, and apparently has been involved with Maharishi Yogi for several years. And he said something to me tonight before the show. He said, I don't know if I really can stay. And I said, why not? And he said, well, you know, I think I'm in the first shot. He stars in the FBI, which is on ABC weeklies. And snuck it in. But he said he's in the first shot tomorrow morning, and he has to get up early, and he didn't do his meditation tonight. So apparently, and here's what I'd like to know. You apparently do this, do you not? You practice Transcendental Meditation.
Yes, I do.
And you find that it does alter your physical activity, your behavior?
Well, if you look at these old bones tonight, you can tell I haven't meditated.
If you did a 30-minute exercise, you would be able to stay out longer or do more things, or just generally?
It has a tremendously refreshing and revitalizing effect. It's as Maharishi said, it's complete rest and more. It seems to build all the positive values. One comes out of meditation not only rested, but enormously strengthened in those values.
All right. Now I'm not going to ask you a political question. That's what I wanted to ask you. An apolitical question. We all know, those of us that have followed your career with interest, and those of us who know you, we all know that you were a political activist, whatever side doesn't matter, several years ago. And apparently, along about the same time you discovered Transcendental Meditation, you gave up being actively involved in political activity. Is there a connection between those two events?
I don't believe there's a connection, Les. It could be. I mean, one terrible time tracing all the sources in one's life. I simply came to the conclusion, as far as I'm concerned at that time, that I think actors, unless they're running for an office, and I think I said this on your show at the same time, I sincerely believe, I don't mean it to be funny or smart, I think they would do the public an enormous service if they just stayed out of it and didn't try to influence people in their vote because of some popularity they may have gained in another field.
You don't think that perhaps I don't know, there might have been a hunger in you that was pushing you in that kind of area that might have been satisfied by Maharishi?
Oh, yes, I certainly say it could have been. I can't trace it. I mean, it would take...
But you're happier now that you're out of it.
I'm certainly happier, yes.
We have to pause right here for a commercial. We'll be right back in just about a minute or so from right now. We're inviting our studio audience to ask questions of Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. Let's see. Yes, sir, right up there.
Maharishi, I meditate a great deal. I'm a very active person, and I have some friends that are in your movement, and I find that you have answered many questions for me because I have had this feeling that you have spoken of. But I've been told by many people maybe my particular way of doing it is wrong. What I'd like to know is, how does one know?
Let me stop. We made rules before the program. One of the only thing that he asked was that at no time during the show do we get into instruction of any kind.
I didn't mean instruction.
Well, go ahead.
You're doing a different kind of meditation. No, I just wanted to know this feeling, if one feels well within oneself, does this partly have to do with your going to the inner consciousness, to the source of the consciousness?
One sees a good carnation and one feels so good.
Yes.
It had nothing to do with going in.
Right, thank you.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Down here.
Yes, Maharishi, please. You say joy is the natural state of man. Am I correct? I wondered then, violence seems to me so opposed to this. What is your attitude toward the anti-war movement all over the world, the United States and other places?
What is it?
She asked, what is your, she asked, what is your attitude toward the anti-war movement around the world, the peace movement?
All those who want peace should meditate and spread transcendental meditation. And peace will result in every man, naturally, and the world will be in peace.
Maharishi, have you experienced any opposition from any of the organized religions of the world to transcendental meditation?
Oh, no opposition. The thing is, a very wise man, the head of Anglican Church, Archbishop of Canterbury, congratulated Beatles to have started transcendental meditation in England, and he's supposed to be a very wise man.
I'm not going to argue with you there. Sorry, I forgot my question.
He wiped you right out, didn't he? Yes, sir.
Maharishi, you said that a man 65 or 60 will look years younger. I would just like to know how old you are.
I don't think that's relevant to what we're talking about in any way.
Something should be left to guessing.
He can take care of himself. I don't have to worry about him. UCLA Bruins. I'm worried about copping out for him, right? He can wipe everybody in this place out. Go ahead.
I was wondering, do you feel that transcendental meditation is the only way to a more fulfilled life, to a longer life, to a more appreciated life? Because I feel that, I know, for the past 4 or 5 years, I've played a musical instrument. I've been very close to music. And through this, I feel that there's a life is just open. It's beautiful through music, playing music. It sets my soul high, on fire, if you want to say.
And through this transcendental meditation, one gets bliss consciousness develops, and then one enjoys and plays music much more thoroughly. This is what happens. So it's very good to enjoy music, but it's better to meditate and then enjoy music. The joy will be many more times greater. No?
No, I was just going to say, not for the fact of enjoying the music, but I feel that music would bring me up. Is this a form of transcendental meditation? Does this create this uplifting?
No, transcendental meditation takes the attention deep inside. Music is the joy of the outer gross field of speech. So if the gross field of speech could make you so happy, subtler fields will certainly lift the life up much more.
We have to take a break right here. We'll be back with more questions from our audience and for myself, for the Maharishi, in just about a minute or so from right now. We continue with audience questions for Maharishi. Anybody else? Anybody want to ask a question? Huh? How about you over there? You don't want to ask it. Do you want me to ask you a question?
Yes.
You're involved with the Maharishi, aren't you?
Yes.
And what do you do exactly?
I'm the director of the Students International Meditation Society.
Is this 5-year plan we've all been hearing a lot about?
Just that.
Now, what is the 5-year plan?
The 5-year plan is a very simple thing. It has 3 points to it. First point is that any student who starts this technique develops the full potentiality of his mind. Secondly, he unfolds bliss consciousness. And thirdly, he integrates his personality. So that 200%, which we're familiar with by now, is lived by every individual who starts this program. 5 years does not mean it's just a 5-year program from here and then in 5 years it'll be over. It means that any student, any young person who begins it, will achieve that full development.
So you're setting up schools and institutions, are you?
Oh, there are 2,000 students now meditating in just the last year here in this area. And we do need the academies provide a systematic teaching so that these thousands of students can get this technique properly and quickly.
Okay, let's finish it off. Where do they get in touch with you?
Any student that wants to begin can contact Sims at 1015 Gailey Avenue, Los Angeles.
Sims?
S-I-M-S.
S-I-M-S at 1015 Gailey Avenue, Los Angeles. There's your commercial.
I would like to know, is that gentleman's occupation? Or does he do that in addition to whatever he may do for a living, or...
Well, let him speak for himself. Is that your occupation, or is that...
Can I answer that?
Can you answer that?
Yes.
All right.
I'd like to say that I've been involved with this organization, and at no time has anybody been paid any money for doing tremendous amounts of work. And they've dedicated endless time. And all the students who have received this meditation are so grateful to men like Jerry. Of course, Maharishi has given all his time. And the benefits, well, let Maharishi tell you. But my wife and I have been meditating, and our life is just wonderful since then. We're really happy.
How long have you been meditating?
3.5 years.
How long have you been married?
I've been married
3.5 months. Apparently the meditating is more important than the marriage. Remember that, right?
It's very important for marriage.
It is.
Yes, because
after developing bliss consciousness is more rewarding.
More rewarding. Okay. Does that answer your question?
I hope so.
What? Does that answer your question?
Yes, I guess.
All right. Yes, sir. Up at the top with the mustache, the handlebar mustache.
Now, I'd like to ask the Maharishi, this meditation you do for a short period of time in the morning, say, is this something you carry through in the same state of mind the rest of the day? I mean, like right now, are you in a state of transcendental meditation?
No, transcendental meditation is shifting the attention deep inside the thinking process. What we carry throughout the day is effect of this diving in. As we take bath in 5 minutes, feel fresh throughout the day. Like that. We don't keep on meditating throughout the day.
Yeah, which is, you can kill the house lights now. We're going to have time. Which brings me to an interesting point, which is related to a question that a fellow over there asked. You see, I once read an article written by somebody who left the East. I think he was from perhaps India. And he said the Indian religions and the Buddhist religions have not been beneficial to these countries because the people have been taught lassitude, have been taught they are lethargic, they are content with less because the religion teaches them.
The thing is, the story of religion is the same all over. That's why we want to build academies of transcendental meditation to teach this method in its purity and in a systematic way. Mr. Lutz is here, the head of the movement in the United States, and he might tell you his plans of building the academy in Berkeley and in here in UCLA. It's very important.
It's important to you?
It's very important to the life in every country. And Germans have built an academy in Bremen. I'm going to inaugurate the Swedish academy on the 1st October. Italians and English people are building in Rome and London. So here also we have plans to build.
Okay, fine. We'll be back with the final few minutes of our program, and we'll check with Mr. Lutz following this message.
Does the Maharishi have any fear of the movement spreading?
Are we on? Oh, goodness. I'm sorry about that. Well, we have very little time left. For those that have been looking in, somebody over there asked me if I would ask you, and it is perhaps a silly question, but I think a valid one. When we in this country hear about yoga or yogi, we think of people throwing ropes up into the air and sitting on nails and burying themselves under the ground for months and so forth, and doing all sorts of yoga, standing on their head. Does this have anything at all to do with what you do? Is yoga part of this, or your part of it?
That is why I don't teach yoga. I teach transcendental meditation. Comfortably people sit and then enjoy.
Has nothing to do with all the other business, right?
No, it's too superficial to waste time on these things.
The yoga postures,
Yoga postures are good for physical exercises, but there is no yoga union in the physical exercises. Union lies in mind getting to inner being, and that is union. There is no yoga in the exercises.
Just going inside and finding...
That's transcendental meditation.
You were concerned about the movement getting too big and then something happened quickly? What was that?
Just that. Is there any danger of this spreading beyond reasonable control, or...
Spreading out of...
When I started this movement in '58, then this was for the whole world, every man, everywhere. And now the thing is materializing. So it's nothing that it is coming on unexpected.
Let me ask you this. If everybody in the world practiced transcendental meditation, would the world look different than it is?
Much different.
Other than the war.
Small portion of the mind being used by every individual, and whatever the civilization is before us. Full mental potential used by every man. The civilization will be great.
Do you think people would still want to achieve the kinds that they would want to build the way they want to do?
Of course, much higher skyscrapers and more silent jet flights.
So what you're saying is that materialism is not necessarily an evil and would not...
Oh no, far from evil. It's a field of joy, variety. And we have great chances of improvement. Only we have to increase the efficiency so that when we are building up more and more in the outside, we don't lose our life in stress and strain.
So even with the hair and the beard and the beads, you're not a hippie in any way, are you?
Hippies will follow me and to enjoy life.
But they believe in not doing, and you believe in doing.
And they believe in not doing, and when they start to meditate transcendental way, and they'll come out to be very good, responsible citizens of the country. They need guidance. Children need guidance, and there should be something which will satisfy their desire for higher spiritual experience. Transcendental meditation will satisfy every young man for his desire to accomplish more, because it gives them more efficiency, more energy.
We have to pause for just a second before I say goodnight to you. I don't know how I'm going to tell you this. I'll have to talk about tomorrow night's show because that's part of the rules. We've been talking about transcendental meditation and spiritual enrichment and fulfillment tonight. Tomorrow night we're going to have a group of people on the program who believe that the way to find inner peace and happiness is an entirely different way. We are going to have a few representatives of the Sexual Freedom League on the program, so if you want to learn about that kind of fancy operation that they do, you can tune in for that. But I had to say that, because that's what we do around here. We look at everything, and I may dig it, I don't know.
To search is good.
To search is good.
And to find fulfillment is really great.
Maharishi, thank you very much.
And good luck to the whole nation through you.
Thank you. Goodbye. Bless you all.